So what's on tap for today, folks? Well, it's another reaction video. This time it's one of our favorite senators, Rand Paul, questioning Anthony the Fraud Fauci. That's right, folks, on his, let's just say, statements on COVID-19, the contradictory statements on them. We're going to get to all of that in just the next few seconds. But before we do so, I just want to let you know that you're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host for today. My name is Dr. Shaikh, and if you haven't already done so, we'd love you to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow this video. Let's get to this absolutely heated debate in which "you lied and millions died" was directed to Anthony Fauci. Let's get to it right now.
I expect you today to admit that you approved of NIH funding for gain-of-function research in Wuhan, but your repeated denials have worn thin, and a majority of Americans, frankly, don't believe you. Even the NIH now admits that EcoHealth Alliance did perform experiments in Wuhan that created viruses not found in nature that actually did gain in lethality. The facts are clear. The NIH did fund gain-of-function research in Wuhan, despite your protestations. You can deny it all you want, but even the Chinese authors of the paper, in their paper, admit that viruses not found in nature.
Just look at this here, folks. This is the face. This is the face right here that literally lied to millions and millions, billions basically, people. I mean, this is what everybody was hanging, right? The mainstream media, the press, the academia, the acolytes of the hypocrites in Hollywood, the acolytes in the scientific community were waiting every day with bated breath. What is our God, Anthony Fauci, the doctor God of COVID-19? What's he going to say today? How is he going to save us? And this man perpetrated lies and misdirection and misstatements and contradictory statements, and just absolutely, millions actually did die because of this man, folks. We all know that. And that's unfortunate. But that's what I hope, that when the new Congress comes in here, that there are hearings on what happened during COVID-19 and all of the contradictory statements, the false statements that were being made by the CDC and all the other health government agencies, and the government had its agenda being pushed on the people of the United States, as well as the governments around the world as well.
Were created, and yes, they gained in infectivity. Your persistent denials, though, are not simply a stain on your reputation, but are a clear and present danger to the country and to the world. As Professor Kevin Esfelt of MIT has written, gain-of-function research looks like a gamble that civilization can't afford to risk. And yet here we are again, with you steadfast in your denials. Why does it matter? Because gain-of-function research with laboratory-created viruses not found in nature could cause a pandemic even worse the next time. We're suffering today from one that has a mortality of approximately 1%. They're experimenting with viruses that have mortalities of between 15 and 50%. Yes,
I would like to ask a question. What the hell are we doing here? Gain-of-function test basically is that they take a virus that really has no lethality at all, or perhaps, like you said, it's got some type of lethality associated with it, but it's just minimal. It's a virus that's already existing. And what they do is they try to infect that virus and, in fact, make that virus even more viable so that it can have an infectivity rate of even greater than it already has. And then what they want to do is try to see if they can find something that will kill that virus. In the meantime, like Rand Paul just said, COVID-19, the Wuhan virus, it has a mortality rate of less than 1%. But they're working right now at these gain-of-function laboratories around the world with infectivity rates of some virus of 10 to 15%. This is just ridiculous, folks. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's just stupid, moronic, imbecilic, asinine. How many descriptive words do we need?
Civilization could be at risk from one of these viruses. Experiments that combine unknown viruses with known pandemic-causing viruses are incredibly risky. Experiments that combine unknown viruses with coronaviruses that have as much as 50% mortality could endanger civilization as we know it. And here you sit, unwilling to accept any responsibility for the current pandemic and unwilling to take any steps to prevent gain-of-function research from possibly unleashing an even more deadly virus. You mislead the public by saying that the published viruses could not be COVID. Well, exactly no one is alleging that. No one is alleging that the published viruses by the Chinese are COVID. What we are saying is that this was risky type of research, gain-of-function research. It was risky to share this with the Chinese, and that COVID may have been created from a not yet revealed virus. We don't anticipate the Chinese are going to reveal the virus if it came from their lab. You know that, but you continue to mislead. You continue to support NIH money going to Wuhan. You continue to say you trust the Chinese scientist. You appear to have learned nothing from this pandemic. Will you today finally take some responsibility for funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator, with all due respect, I disagree with so many of the things that you've said. First of all, gain of function is a very nebulous term. We have spent, not us, but outside bodies, a considerable amount of effort to give a more precise definition to the type of research that is of concern that might lead to a dangerous situation. You are aware of that. That is called P3CO.
We're aware that you deleted gain of function from the NIH website.
Well, I can get back to that in a moment if we have time, but let's get back to the operating framework and guide rails of which we operate under. And you have ignored them. The guidelines are very, very clear that you have to be dealing with a pathogen that clearly is shown and very likely to be highly transmissible in an uncontrollable way in humans and to have a high degree of morbidity and mortality, and that you do experiments to enhance that, hence the word EPPP, enhanced pathogens of pandemic.
So when EcoHealth Alliance took the virus, SHC014, and combined it with WIV1 and caused a recombinant virus that doesn't exist in nature, and it made mice sicker, mice that had humanized cells, you're saying that that's not gain-of-function research?
According to the framework and guidelines.
So what you're doing is defining away gain-of-function. No. You're simply saying it doesn't exist because you changed the definition on the NIH website. This is terrible, and you're completely trying to escape the idea that we should do something about trying to prevent a pandemic from leaking from a lab. There's the preponderance of evidence now points towards this coming from the lab, and what you've done is change the definition on your website to try to cover your ass, basically. That's what you've done.
CYA, baby. CYA, cover your ass. Exactly. That's exactly. Way to go, Rand Paul. This is the stuff. Exactly. And look at his face right here. He's like going, oh, you actually said CYA? I mean, did you hear all that, folks? Of course you did. They're taking viruses that have lethality. They're increasing the lethality of these viruses. And then they're trying to figure out a way to stop the lethality. I mean, this is just stupidity beyond retardedness. This is just being. This is the definition of being retarded. Right here, what these guys are doing with gain of function. I mean, this is incredibly just so stupid. You're gambling with the lives of human beings all around the world.
You've changed the website to try to have a new definition that doesn't include the risky research that's going on. Until you admit that it's risky, we're not going to get anywhere. You have to admit that this research was risky. The NIH has now rebuked them. Your own agency has rebuked them. But the thing is you're still unwilling to admit that they gained in function when they say they became sicker. They gained in lethality. It's a new virus. That's not gain of function?
According to the definition that is currently operable. You know, Senator, let's make it clear for the people who are listening. The current definition was done over a 2 to 3 year period by outside bodies, including the NSABB, 2 conferences by the National Academy of Science, Engineering, and Medicine on December 2014, March 2016.
We don't care about those other governing bodies, you stupid, idiotic moron. We care about the fact that it needs to be shut down because it's too damn risky.
We commissioned external risk-benefit assessment, and then on January of 2017, the Office of Science and Technology Policy of the White House issued the current policy.
And coincidentally,
I have not
the
changed
definition
any
appeared
definition.
on the same day the NIH said that yes, there was a gain of function in Wuhan. The same day the definition appeared, the new definition, to try to define away what's going on in Wuhan. Until you accept it, until you accept responsibility, we're not going to get anywhere close to trying to prevent another lab leak of this dangerous sort of experiment. You won't admit that it's dangerous, and for that lack of judgment, I think it's time that you resign.
Thank you, Senator Paul. And I would like to give the time to Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, well, there were so many things that are egregious misrepresentation here, Madam Chair, that I don't.
I think what we're going to hear now is a verbal diarrhea, the lying that's coming here afterwards. So let's hear the verbal diarrhea emanating from the mouth of Dr. Anthony the Fraud Fauci.
I think I'd be able to refute all of them, but just a couple of them for the listeners to hear for. You have said that I'm unwilling to take any responsibility for the current pandemic. I have no responsibility for the current pandemic. The current pandemic, okay? Number 2, you said the overwhelming amount of evidence indicates that's a lab leak. I believe most card-carrying viral phylogenists and molecular virologists would disagree with you that is much more likely, even though we leave open all possibilities, it's much more likely that this was a natural occurrence. Third, you say we can
tested 80,000 animals and no animals
Senator
have been
Paul,
found with COVID.
Senator Paul, the time is set for.
And third, you made a statement just a moment ago that's completely incorrect, where you
You made a statement just a moment ago that was completely incorrect. What a moron.
say we continue to support research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
You approved it in August of last year.
No, your statement says, quote, I wrote it down as you were writing. You continue to support research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
You were in committee a month ago and said you still trust the
completely-
Chinese scientists and you still support the research over there. You said it a month ago in
Senator
committee.
Paul, I have allowed Dr. Fauci to respond. You've had your time. I'm going to give him.
He's going to be
one more minute.
dishonest. He ought to be challenged.
Senator Paul, we will allow Dr. Fauci to respond after you've given accusations like that. Dr. Fauci.
Well, I don't have any more to say.
Oh, basically, anyways, let's just, so there you have it, folks. I mean, Rand Paul challenged, grilled, absolutely went after Anthony the Fraud Fauci. And all Anthony Fauci could basically say was that, you know what? It's a different acronym. It's a different word. And what Rand Paul was trying to say, yes, you took gain of function, that statement, that purpose that you basically have been saying that this is what gain of function is, and you knew now that that gain of function is too hot of a topic. So how can we get rid of it? Like you said, get rid of gain of function, that wording, that statement, and just basically attach a couple of acronyms. E3PPP. The bottom line is, no matter what you call it, no matter how you define it, no matter how many acronyms you assign to it, you stupid, idiotic moron, you lying sack of crap, Dr. Anthony Fraud Fauci, because you lied, millions upon millions died. All you are doing is continuing the testing that takes a virus with either a low level of lethality or a high level of lethality, do testing on it to try to see if you can increase the low lethality to make it even more lethal, Or if it is highly lethal, you want to see if you can take it to even higher levels of lethality. And whether you call it gain of function, or you just call it science, or just call it, whatever the hell you want, it's still stupid. It is still gambling with the lives of humanity. Because what happens if the next time, as Rand Paul said, that instead of it being a 1% mortality, let's say it's even doubles. Can you imagine another pandemic that could be unleashed upon the world because you have stupid, idiotic morons like this and other scientists around the world, evil scientists around the world? I mean, this is basically what we were seeing in the James Bond movies and all those movies that were out there, basically showing, that you had some evil person, evil entity trying to, discover some type of a disease or some type of a pathogen that they could, hold over the world by saying, if you don't do as we're saying, hey, we're going to unleash this upon you. Well, now it's coming from government folks and scientists. And that's just unbelievable. And it needs to be stopped. It really, really needs to be stopped. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. We hope you enjoyed this reaction video to Rand Paul questioning Anthony Fraud Fauci. If you haven't already done so, we'd love to subscribe to the channel because you've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. And I've been your guest host today. My name is Dr. Shaikh. And we want you to go ahead and hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow this video. Comment below. Let us know what you thought of the fraud Fauci. Let us know what you thought of Rand Paul. Do you agree, disagree? And I'll leave you with my final thought, as I always do, which is when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.